Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. My name is Mercy Joe.
And my name is Elvis Oga. I'd like to say a very beautiful good morning to you and many thanks for joining us on today's edition of Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria.
Many things have been happening, lots have happened
exactly
over the day.
From DSS invitation of Melafia down to some radio station interviewing him, the radio station running into problems with the NBC, and then Buhari to commission the project,
and then
vaccines, tomorrow, and all of that.
Vaccines and all of that. Well, it's time to go to the news desk.
Because Susan has a whole lot of information concerning all of this we just talked about.
News desk.
There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking, or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of
Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achim. Nigeria has recorded 453 new cases of coronavirus, bringing the total number of COVID-19 infections in the country to 47,743. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) disclosed this on Wednesday night via Twitter. Giving a breakdown of the figures, the health agency said the new cases were recorded in Lagos, the FCT and 14 other states of the Federation. On a positive note, the country has been able to manage 33,943 people who recovered from the virus and have been discharged. Unfortunately, 956 people have died from COVID-19 in Nigeria. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved the sum of 8.49 billion naira for the procurement of test kits by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC). The approval was given at the end of its 11th virtual meeting, which was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday. According to reports, the sum is meant for the procurement of 12 items in various quantities for the testing of COVID-19 in the country. This comes after the Minister of Health, Osagi Ehanire, presented a memo on behalf of the centre at the council chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Meanwhile, the Defence Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, says light tactical vehicles and other weapons being locally produced by its company will help in addressing Nigeria's internal security challenges, especially in the fight against Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast and bandits in the northwest and other parts of the country. The Director General of the corporation, Major General Victor Izugo, made the disclosure when the Minister of Defense toured production lines of the company located at Kakuri Industrial Area in Kaduna South local government area of Kaduna State. He says that in line with the President's directive in the implementation of Executive Order 5 on local content, DICON has produced some locally made military equipment, including the Izugu mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, minesweepers, as well as other armored and soft-skin vehicles and ammunitions that have been deployed in various theaters of operations across the country. And now moving on to the entertainment scene, the online movie streaming giant Netflix has delivered tech gadgets to Nigeria's internet sensation Ikorodu Boys. The key two are famous for remaking movie clips and music videos shared the news on Twitter. The Twitter post showed the boys ecstatically showing off their presence, which at a glance had the likes of a video or voice recorder, camera, boom microphone, tripods, iMac computer and other tech accessories to help with future production. Well, definitely a huge one there, and congratulations to the Ikorodu Boys. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin. Daybreak Africa will continue shortly. Stay with us.
Benignan Trading Group is a conglomerate of partnerships. I mean partnership with you. Partnership through investment for profit. Investment for returns, cutting across various corporate business spheres. Benignan offers you credible 15% returns on all investment with us. Benignan Trading Group, your choice's investment management company, has become a reality with the marketplace administrators carefully selected as young bright minds who would spearhead this move into creating more prosperity and distributing them. This is what we mean by benignant. So come, be benignant with our increasing community of happy and enthusiastic investors. Why not call us at any of our offices closest to you or dial our number? You'll be glad you did. You deserve the benignant touch.
BTG is your friend. BTG is your partner. BTG is your handbag. Yes, we are that flexible to become your handbag. We are your servants too. In the sense that we are using our information we've gathered, the knowledge we've come into, the understanding and mastered to bring you profit. Yeah, BTG takes the risk for you. BTG is your conduit to become better. We also give you return on investment on a monthly basis. Formerly it was 6%, but now it's from 7% to 15% return on investment monthly, which is categorized by capital.
You can call us on 0907 685 9446 or 0909 22 97081 or visit us on www.benignantcg.com. We are your reliable conduit.
Welcome back, and in case you're just joining us, this is still Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. Remember, you can stream us live on all of our platforms, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at television Nigerian. So that was news there by Susan Achin. It's time to move to the dailies to see what the headlines we have this morning.
We have so many interesting headlines grazing the front pages of so many national dailies this morning. We begin with the Nigerian Tribune with the following headlines. The banner headlines we have from the Nigerian Tribune this morning reads, Magu cries over fair hearing, lawyer writes Salami panel. That is on the page 9 of the Nigerian Tribune. And above the nameplate, rumble in Unilag over sack of VC. I remain VC. That is coming from Ogundipe. ASU, SANU, others react. Not yet informed Education Ministry says All of that can be found on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. And beside that, Federal Executive Council FEC okays 8.49 billion naira to procure COVID-19 testing kits. And below that, you have EFCC probes alleged attempt by Lebanese to smuggle $800,000. Lagos Council boss dies of COVID-19. Another report there concerning the war or the battle against COVID-19. Then Sharia court sentences 70-year-old to death for raping 10-year-old. A whole lot of value coming from Sharia court lately these days. You can pick a copy of the Nigerian Tribune to get a detail of that particular story. And then below that, we have soldier jailed 55 years for killing WHO staff. Below a picture story, FG to deduct money from state guilty of double taxation. And I'll take this last one here. Audit query, NPA, that is Nigerian Port Authority, recovers $89 million, 2.404 billion naira outstanding rental debt. That does it for the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
All right, let's take a look at the Business Day newspaper this morning. The headline here, soaring fertilizer prices lead to second wave of food inflation. That's on page 29. Beside that, all majors search for sustainable businesses warns Nigeria against slow reforms. And the inside story here still says, Honeywell fits in and NASCON boom on COVID-19 as brewers lose out. That's on page 2. Well, that does it for the Business Day newspaper. And
now straight from the front pages, or from the front page rather, of the Daily Times. Ogoni cleanup, endless wait for a restoration. Fair play. That's the banner headline, and it's on the page 2 of the Daily Times. The editorial story reads, the clamor for 50% derivation fund. And then below the picture story, we have anti-MTN labor unrest threatens nationwide network connectivity. And from the judiciary, parties the registration, INEC to approach Supreme Court over conflicting judgment. I'll take this last one here from this National Daily. U.S. elections, what Kamala Harris bring as Joe Biden running mate in U.S. presidential election. I came across a part of the story yesterday that Trump was expressing shock or surprise that Joe Biden had to pick him after all he said about against Joe Biden prior to the ticket and everything.
All right, let's take a look at the This Day newspaper. The big headline here, Northern governors demand probe of members alleged backing for terrorists. I'll take that again. Northern governors demand probe of members alleged backing for terrorists. Otom wants federal government to allow responsible citizens to carry arms. DSS releases May Lafia, and that's on page 8. Still below that, INEC stopping a Edo election recipe for constitutional crisis. Assembly complex unsafe for sitting, say 17 lawmakers. That's on page 8 as well. Above the nameplates, understanding the economics of SAA to vessel owners. That's coming from the federal government. And that's on page 9. Nigeria's stocks rise to 8-week high on oil prices gain. That's on page 6. Now I'll take this last story here. FEC approves 8.49 billion naira for COVID-19 testing equipment. Well, a whole lot of money has been going down since COVID-19 started in the country.
And ordinarily, one may want to reason that, okay, at about this time, we're talking about some countries bringing out their vaccines already. And
we're still talking about testing equipment.
So maybe the federal government or the authorities will have to look into that.
But that's on the This Day newspaper, so you can get a hold of that to read that.
All right, let's quickly move on to the Daily Sun newspaper, and we take it from top to the bottom, just beside the nameplate. Please, IPOB fight over mass arrest. We nabbed 67 pro-Biafra groups members going to shrine. That is coming from CP. Leave our members alone, groups tell, please. And in the banner headline we have from the Daily Sun this morning reads, the ex-US envoy Walter Carrington passes on. Total strike looms. Pengerson, health workers, aviation unions to down tools. The initial story about the passing on of ex-US envoy Walter Carrington can be found on page 3, while out of the strike information can be found on page 8 and page 25 of the Daily Sun. Just below the picture story, COVID-19 flays non-adherence to protocols at rallies and burials. And then FEC approves 8.49 billion naira to procure 12 items for texting. That story can be found on page 6. And we have this concerning Osun State and education here. No education policy set to take off. You can get the detail on page 29. And I'll take this last one here. NDIC working on the Fortis Microfinance Bank's liquidation. That story can be found on page 25. And you can do well by picking a copy of the Daily Sun to get more stories from their national daily.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. Below the picture nameplate there, Arotile is back in the news. Police arraign driver, vehicle owner in Kaduna. That's on page 11. You want to know the reason why? That's on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. Beside that, man bags 25 years imprisonment for raping 11-year-old girl in Ogun. Well, serves him right. Still beside that, Lagos local government spokesman differ on death of council chairman. That's on page 11. Above the nameplate, Army probes alleged soldiers' involvement in illegal fishing trading. That's on page 8. Still beside that, will impeach Obaseki if he flouts laws, a Ado Assembly faction boasts. That's on page 2. The main headline here, APC interim panel battles against time, party to shift convention, committee to meet next week, yet to begin reconciliation. Defunct NWC members grumble over lack of consultation. PGFDG Rights Committee seeks another NEC meeting. Well, that's on page 2. I'll still take the story. Ex-US convoy to Nigeria, Karatin, dies at 90. That's on page 11. Now I'll take this last story here. Sanwo-Olu decries Lagos representation in federal government agencies. That's on page 6, if I can get this number right here. Right, that does it for the Punch newspaper.
And now straight from the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning, the big bold headline we have from the Nation newspaper reads, Federal government pumps 8.5 billion naira to boost COVID-19 test. NLC seeks funding for education, health sectors. Russia to produce 5 million vaccine doses monthly. That's quite a huge number.
Nigeria is talking about test kits, and the vaccine is going on in Russia. One would have ordinarily loved Nigeria to
if you look at it medically, it's still in line with best medical practices, because the vaccine is not supposed to be administered to somebody who is down with the virus already, because vaccine is more like the virus being injected into your body so that your body now get some kind of immunity against it, so that when it comes, it can affect you.
So now what they want to just keep doing is just to keep testing.
Yeah, because I think the best thing, according to the best of my knowledge about vaccines, you're supposed to undergo a test. Then when you test negative, it's safe to apply the vaccine on you. But if you test positive, you need to treat first before they apply the vaccine.
Yeah, you need to treat first before you apply vaccines.
So testing is still part of it.
But still, they still need to reach out for the vaccine, so that those that don't have it can take the vaccine and they don't have it, and we stop testing.
Yeah, we break the chain of the spread of the virus. All right, we're still taking a look at more headlines, and this is still talking about the ex-U.S. ambassador Carrington dies at 90. Buhari mourns envoy. And then the inside story reads, 1,000-strong Ize Yamot's campaign venue, Obaseki will be re-elected, says PDP chief. APC, no diversion of funds for Ondo poll. Accord didn't endorse PDP candidate Jagede. And then above the nameplate, like Messenger earlier said, Arotile is actually back in the news with this headline. Arotile suspected killers arraigned, 2-phase 4-count charge. NDIC gets 2 billion naira to pay depositors of liquidated bank. Uber taxi fares to go up as Lagos sets new rules. And when we're talking about COVID-19, with all the adverse effect, and we're talking about maybe bringing policy that would further put people's living condition in more constraint and all. Like if you ask me, I would say the Lagos maybe need to revisit this.
They really need to revisit it, because now is a very hard time for everybody.
All right, I take this last one here that has to do with sport. Mikel Obi eyes return to England, and that does it for the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, I'll take the last dailies here, which is the Guardian newspaper. Federal government denies placing order for Russian vaccine. That's the big bold headline here. Nigeria doctors hail scientists. New experimental COVID-19 drug prevents disease in mice. U.S. government strike $1.525 billion deal with 100 million doses of vaccine. FEC okays 8.49 billion naira for tests in local governments. That's on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Below that, federal government mobilizes flights to evacuate Nigerians from UAE. That's on page 3. Lukman alleges plot to return Oshomole as APC chairman. That's on page 4. Well, politics is such that it's never predictable.
True.
Anything can happen and anything is possible.
As long as it's not going against any laid down constitution or rules, anything can happen.
Anything can happen and anything is possible. And as long as you have the right backings in Nigeria, anything is possible. Still beside that, why government hasn't adopted PCR for coronavirus testing by Ehanire. That's on page 3. Politicians amassing arms to disrupt Edo poll, says CDD. Well, that's on page 30. And that does it for the Guardian newspaper. And that does it for the dailies this morning. And
that actually places it on us to move on to the next package. And it's about going across Africa to get more news.
Welcome to News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. Thousands of people demonstrated again on Tuesday in Mali's capital Bamako, demanding the resignation of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, who came to power in 2013. Now, protesters ignore calls from the Economic Unity of West African States organizations to find an alternative way out of the crisis that has shaken Mali since the cancellation of 30 results in the legislative elections in mid-April. The protest is led by Imam Mahmoud Dicko of the Movement of June 5, a coalition of religious leaders and politicians. 9 new judges were sworn in at the Constitutional Court to prioritize the invalidation of the 30 elections. On July 10, a demonstration degenerated into 3 days of unrest with at least 11 deaths. The violence had exacerbated tensions in the country, already afflicted by years of jihadist violence and also hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Now, Sudan has surprised its international customers by banning the export of raw peanuts. The country is one of the world's leading peanut producers, but has decided it wants to process raw nuts within the country and export what it claims will be more profitable secondary products. The export ban is particularly striking given that with 14% of world production according to the United Nations, Sudan is the 5th largest producer of peanuts globally. The 2 main customers for peanuts from Sudan were China and Indonesia. And Sudan produced 1.5 million tons in 2019, worth $205 million, according to central bank statistics, up from $59 million earned in 2018. Trade Minister Madani Abbas Madani defended halting of exports, which he claimed would maximize the market value of peanuts and add value to Sudanese products in light of climate change, which affects the quality. Before the ban, peanuts were Sudan's 5th biggest international earner after gold, sesame, oil, and livestock. Crisp landscapes and burnt animal remains, the aftermath of a horrendous fire at Kenya's Tsavo West National Park, extinguished Monday as announced by the Kenya Wildlife Service. After 2 grueling days of firefighting efforts from the military, industry partners, non-governmental wildlife organizations, government agencies, and around 400 local resident volunteers, among them were Kenya Defense Forces, National Youth Service, Kenya Forest Service, Taita Traveta County, and in addition, area teams had been deployed. The fire, which was only a few kilometers from another fire which had broken out a few days earlier, first started on Sunday at Sheikh Dam around 2 p.m. along the Mactal Taveta Road to the south of Moka, according to Shedrick Wildlife Trust. Now, 60 years ago on August 11, just 2 years before becoming a republic, Chad gained independence from France, former colonizer, who many claim has not completely relinquished political control over the nation. a delicate subject that has many Chadians questioning if the event is truly a celebration. As President Idris Deby is also being awarded the honorary title of Field Marshal for his efforts against Islamic terrorism in West Africa. Although criticized by some of his political relationship with the West, he has successfully positioned the ethnically fragmented country as a critical military power in the Sahel region. The young nation, despite being one of the largest oil reserves holders in Africa, is ranked by the World Bank as the last in Human Development Index, with 40% of its population living under the poverty line. Much is left to be seen from the young nation that has neither been peaceful nor has it witnessed a smooth transition of power. The hunt is continuing in the Sahel for the killers of 8 people in Niger on Sunday. The killers were believed to be armed motorcyclists who came through the bush on motorbikes to arrive at the vicinity of the town of Kore. The 8 victims consisted of 6 French nationals and a Nigerian guide and driver. They were a team from the French humanitarian aid organization ACTAD acted. The killings, an hour from the capital Niamey in a nature reserve considered relatively safe, shocked many. Foreign nationals and members of aid organizations have previously not been considered in danger in such areas. Troops in Niger, backed by French air support, are searching for the killers of the 8-strong team. French soldiers have been engaged in Operation Bekane, an ongoing anti-insurgent mission targeting Islamic groups in Africa's Sahel region since 2014. It's previously concentrated on the tri-border region between Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, with the backing of the G5 Sahel member nation after the group's formation a few months earlier. That is the much we can take on news across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Alright, welcome back. That was news across Africa there. So it's time to move to the next package.
And that's coming from our health desk for the healthy living.
Episode of Healthy Living. Today's topic is stress management. Stress management. If you're living with high level of stress, you are putting your entire well-being at risk. Stress wreaks havoc on your emotional equilibrium as well as your physical health. It narrows your ability to think clearly, function effectively, and enjoy life. Effective stress management, on the other hand, helps you break the whole stress has on your life so you can be happier, healthier, and more productive. The following stress management tips can help you do that. 1. Identify the source of stress in your life. Do you define stress as an integral part of your work or home life, or as a part of your personality? Do you blame your stress on other people or outside events, or view it as entirely normal and unexceptional? Until you accept responsibilities for the role you play in creating or managing it, your stress level will remain outside your control. Secondly, practice the 4 A's of stress management, which are avoid, alter, adapt, and accept. Avoid unnecessary stress. Learn how to say no. Know your limits and stick to them, whether in your personal or professional life. Taking no more than you can handle is a software recipe for stress. Distinguish between the shoulds and the musts, and when possible, say no to taking on too much. Avoid people who stress you out. Analyze your schedules, responsibilities, and daily tasks. Alter the situation. If you can't avoid a stressful situation, try to alter it. Often, this involves changing the way you communicate and operate in your daily life. Express your feelings instead of bottling them up. Create a balanced schedule. All work and no play is a recipe for burnout. Try to find a balance between work, family, life, social activities, and solitary pursuits, daily responsibilities, and downtime. Adapt to the stressor. If you can't change the stressor, change yourself. You can adapt to stressful situations and regain your sense of control by changing your exceptions and attitude. Adjust your standard. Perfectionism is a major source of affordable stress. Stop setting yourself up for failure by demanding perfection. Set responsible standards for yourself and others and learn to be okay with good enough. Practice gratitude when stress is getting you down. Take a moment to reflect on all the things you appreciate in your life, including your possible qualities and gifts. This simple strategy can help you keep things in perspective. Accept the things you can't change. Some sources of stress are unavoidable. You can't prevent or change stressors such as death of loved ones, a serious illness, or a national recession. In such cases, the best way to cope with stress is to accept things the way they are. Acceptance may be difficult, but in the long run, it's easier than ruling against a situation you can change. Third tip, get moving when you are stressed. The last thing you possibly feel like doing is getting up and exercise. But physical activities is a huge stress reliever, and you don't have to be an athlete or spend hours in the gym to exercise the benefits. Exercise releases endorphins that make you feel good, and it can also serve as a valuable distraction from your daily worries. Put on some music and dance around. Fourth tip, connect to others. There is nothing more calming than spending quality time with another human being who makes you feel safe and understood. In fact, face-to-face interaction triggers the cascade of hormones that counteract the body's defensive fight or flight response. It's nature's natural stress reliever. As an added bonus, it also helps stave off depression and anxiety. So make it a point to connect regularly and in person with family and friends. Fifth tip, make time for fun and relaxation. Beyond a take-charge approach and a positive attitude, you can reduce stress in your life by carving out me time. Don't get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that you forget to take care of your own needs. Nourishing yourself is necessity, not a luxury. If you regularly make time for fun and relaxation, you'll be in a better place to handle life's stressor. Sixth tip, manage time better. Poor time management can cause a lot of stress. It's hard to stay calm and focused. The good news there is there are things you can do to achieve a healthier work life. Don't overcommit yourself. Avoid scheduling things back to back or trying to fight too much into one day. All too often, we underestimate how long things will take. Seventh tip, maintain balance with a healthy lifestyle. In addition to regular exercise, there are other healthy lifestyle choices that can increase your resistance to stress. Eat a healthy diet. Well-nourished bodies are better prepared to cope with stress, so be mindful of what you eat. Start your day with a great breakfast and keep your energy up and your mind clear with balance. Nutritious meals throughout the day. Avoid alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. Get enough sleep. Adequate sleep fuels your mind as well as your body. Feeling tired will increase your stress because it may cause you to think irrationally. 8. Learn to relieve stress in the moment. The fastest way to reduce stress is by taking the deep breath and using your senses. What you see, hear, taste, and touch, or through a subtle movement, by viewing a favorite photo or movie, listening to your favorite piece of music. Remember, not all illness are caused by diseases, and not all illness need medicine. All you need to do is to have a happy soul, a happy mind, and always laugh and be happy. Thank you for watching today's episode.
That was Healthy Living right there from our head there, and still on Daybreak Africa right here on television Nigeria. That was on stress management. I'll keep talking about that every now and then.
Yeah.
Yesterday Moses was sharing something with me, and he said he discovered that his eyelid normally shakes and vibrates And somebody was telling him, okay, it's a sign of an omen, either good or bad, until he had to go check, and then they told him it's a sign of stress.
You see?
And then
he straining the eyes so much to computer and all of that.
After taking some rest, they discovered that it wasn't shaking
anymore. So you see, we need to rest more. Understand how much stress you can take and how much stress the body. You know, even stress sometimes swells the body up.
Yeah, true.
People don't know that. You tend to start swelling because you walk a lot. Let's just try. Let's try. I mean, Godfatherism.
Yesterday, during our outing yesterday, you actually asking the involvement or the place of youth in our political sphere, and then the role of Godfather and the issue of Godfatherism generally. And then you knew the angle our guest came in from, and it was like Godfatherism wouldn't have been a total bad idea, but it's all about the self-value of our Godfathers, their ideology, because he said, whether we like it or not, politics is business to an extent. And, you know, if you are trying to do a business, you shouldn't be selfish, you should be selfless or liberal enough to allow your customers gain as well.
True. So then, even if you're saying you're coming in as a godfather to let's call it investment, to put in your investment, at least you let the other party bring in their own idea. You bring your own idea so that you come to an agreement, and then it becomes something wonderful at the end of the day.
See how the model in its entirety would benefit everybody, not just some secluded or some selected set of people.
But then it's funny how Godfatherism actually started being so known in our ears ever since the whole Edo Obaseki and Oshomole saga. But anyway,
I think it's part of the growth of our democracy.
You know, it depends. It started. It now started that people started telling me what was happening between the both of them, and then Godfatherism in the country became very obvious. And okay, this is what is happening. This is what's happening. True. Anyway, let's listen to this documentary on Godfatherism.
In contemporary democracy, politics of Godfatherism has become a universal issue in the political development of many countries, Nigeria inclusive. The politics of Godfatherism has entered every nook and cranny of the nation and has affected the political structure of the country. Stemming from the elitist theory as advocated by Vilfredo Pareto in 1935, elites are replaced by another group of elites, meaning that the majority are unavoidably governed by the minority, a situation which ultimately gives rise to the phenomenon of Godfatherism in political settings.
The word Godfather is borrowed from the mafioso concept that came up in Sicily, Italy. And it is a concept that respects hierarchy. Hierarchy cannot go wrong. Therefore, hierarchy is feared, is respected. Any attempt to go against hierarchy becomes very, very dangerous.
The politics of Godfatherism has a negative impact on the socio-economic and political development of the nation by confining power in the hands of the few elites at the expense of the masses. This has affected the socio-economic and political development of the nation, and by extension led to inter-party and intra-party defections, decamping and conflicts among party members. Godfathers in some nations are inspired by their resolution to regulate public policies in favor of their concerns. The Godfathers in Nigerian politics are primarily concerned with appropriation of government contracts, political and public appointments, and plundering the coffers of the state while using their advantaged positions to decide the political confidence of candidates to political offices.
We need to trace this new culture that has become Godfather, that has destroyed the fabric of our political ideology, to the incursion of the military into politics. The military did not leave the political scene willingly. It was as a result of critical engagement from critical stakeholders. We can still remember Sikh Nadeko and the pariah status of Nigeria at that time that has forced the hand of the military government to relinquish power. However, as strategic as they were, they leave power, but the statement of Babangida comes to mind that he was stepping aside. They only step aside And by stepping aside, they have their eyes in the big apple to still control the whims and caprices of our political expeditions from the sideline. And therefore, the ideology of Godfather begins to move into our political lexicon.
Godfatherism is the problem we are facing today, that Nigeria today has been rated as one of the country with high rate of poverty. Because one single individual wants to divert the whole resources that is meant for the people.
In 1999, we all knew how the great Obasanjo was made the president from the prison. And subsequently, it has become a trajectory of our political engagement. And it continued to metamorphosize with various styles, with various techniques. And we find ourselves in a situation whereby before you become somebody politically, you have to align yourself to a man who probably may not have won an election, but probably has a lot of war chest, as we call it, a lot of resources to spend.
In this flawed arrangement, those that are not only seen but confirmed to be loyal to the Godfathers cannot be given tickets to be the flag bearer of the political parties, so as to ensure that the godsons will be answerable to them when they are elected into power. The godson oftentimes becomes a stooge of the Godfather, while the failure of the godson to meet the demands of the Godfather is often punished with impeachment or denial of re-election.
Government in the center, they are always interested in one election or the other. Take for instance, the governor of a state who said, no, this House of Assembly member must not go. And he will use all the necessary arsenal within its disposal to make sure that he frustrates the most acceptable candidate. So that is the major problem we are facing.
The crisis rocking the political environment in Edo State has seen the immediate past governor of the state and former chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress, Adams Oshomole, locked in a fierce battle of wits and structure with the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki. The duo, who were former political allies, are now vicious political foes, with the Godfather-Godson relationship pushed aside because the Godson has become disobedient and no longer takes instructions from the Godfather.
I endured so much as a governor. As governor, I've not been able to even nominate somebody for a federal appointment. And meanwhile, federal appointments are made every day. I will sit down, you call me from the Senate, are you aware of this? I keep quiet. I cannot be governor and not be governor. I should be able to make decisions, and I've made decisions which, in my view, are in the best interest of Edo State.
I sold a bad product, but I'm telling you, any of us would have made that mistake. As they say, a green snake, other green snake. Now the summer has come, the green is getting brown, and we can now see the snake.
The activities of these political fighters has deprived the people of voting for their ideal applicants as their leader. This has directly affected the political arrangements and national economy of the nation and does not promote leadership on merit or based on popular demand. Godfathers operate like mafia, hiding under politics to perpetrate criminal acts with their private army of thugs, disrupting electoral processes, killing and prompting political instability. This scenario is inimical to good governance and political stability, which are predicted on the rule of law, due process, accountability and transparency in the management of the public business. Political patronage has robbed the citizens of the privilege of enjoying the dividends of democratic governance, in the sense that the would-be government becomes reluctant to initiate and implement policies that would advance the well-being of the generality of the citizens.
When political parties do not have clear ideologies, then how would political mentorship thrive? Because political mentorship is not a standalone. It is the ability to be able to transform the ideology that is tie to the political party, to a political follower, such that it becomes his clear mindset in terms of political engagement and service that brings up mentorship. But where you don't have clear-cut political ideology from the many political parties that we have, the only thing that has become a permanent feature is in politics, there is no permanent enemy and permanent friend. In politics, it is the interest that matters.
While having a godfather in politics may not be wrong if it is used to get the best people into public offices, their selfish and destructive overbearing influence would continue to hamper dividends of democracy because he who pays the piper dictates the tune.
It is not completely to say that you cannot strive politically without a godfather, but it is right to say that the involvement of some people in quote who call themselves godfather are creating so much problem in our political setting that until and when that word disappear from our political lexicon, it will take us a very, very long time to get leaders who will serve the people, and we can measure our growth and development, and we'll be proud as Nigerians.
Godfatherism is an impediment to Nigerian democracy. It is adversative to the freedom and welfare of the people. Therefore, the problem of godfatherism should not be preserved as a party affair, but should be treated with legal action by the government and the party stakeholders. The demand for a sustainable democracy in Nigeria is to expand both the political and socio-economic situation of the country through massive people participation in policy and decision-making processes. And this status quo can never be achieved in a system entrenched with godfatherism.
So you see what I'm saying? Now this godfatherism of a thing is really bringing in problem, because you can't come and say this is the right candidate to contest for this position, this is the right person you need, and then you're aware that the person is not quite complete.
I've actually seen a series of divergent views concerning the practice of godfatherism in every political sphere.
Yeah.
You know, had it been the confidence on the electoral empire is there by the citizens and all, it will be no serious business. You come and be like, okay, this is the person you want.
Yes.
You allow the people to vote their will into power, but at the end of the day, people will tell you the result is not reflecting what they felt the people voted, and several other things that come into play. But
and then the scenario that it's painting out or showing out to people is going a long way to say, okay, you can't just come out and say, I am going to contest for this under this particular party, and then it will come out free, fair, and I will win credibly just because the people wanted me and trusted me through all of my campaigns. But no, I have to pass through some godfathers, because when I pass through some particular godfathers, their support will go a very long way.
You know, if the contest is actually leave it out, or maybe at the general level, at the wider society, it would have been easy to tackle. But you know, like you said, you need a platform, a political platform. That's a party, and then before you get at the party, they need to do primary election at the party level. So I think the influence more is at the party level, because whoever the godfather nominate, because of the influence he has on the party, on the party, it now reflect who get the ticket from the party.
You see it so obvious, each and every other time that elections is about to come out, you see a godfather. This is our candidate. This is the person we want. This is the person. So it's at that point in time. Have you not noticed that it becomes so obvious that immediately this particular godfather is raising the arm of a particular person that should be the candidate? Eventually, that becomes the candidate. Yeah. All right. So, are we going to be launching across Africa now? Amazing Africa.
Let's do that.
So we're launching a package on Amazing Africa right now.
Big Brother Niger, the Nigerian version of Big Brother Africa, is a Nigerian reality television competition series based on the Big Brother television franchise, in which 20 contestants live in an isolated house and compete for a large cash prize worth 171,000 428, an equivalent to 60 million Nigerian naira.
26, 27,
27,
29, 35.
The 2020 edition of Big Brother Niger is the 5th season, with 3 editions already hosted in South Africa, making the 2020 edition the 2nd hosted in Nigeria. However, there has been so many reactions from Nigerians with regards to the moral and economic benefits.
I don't think BB Niger should be running for now, because even without the lockdown or the economic meltdown now as a result of the COVID-19, it doesn't have any positive impact on the youth especially, because from the way they run it or how I see it, it promotes promiscuity and encourages indecency, and now leaves what they are supposed to be relating or displaying to the youth or to the world. It's supposed to be a platform or an avenue to relay a positive message or positive impartation to the youth, to the onlookers, even to the old who have something they might, 1 or 2 things they might pick from it. It should be something that should affect life, people, society, economy positively.
So it actually has like immoral influence on like youth. Someone to like join the program, be one of the housemates. But at times things they do on the shows, like all these bad stuffs like sex, romance and stuffs, discourage some youths not to go, or their parents should be like, we should not contact, blah blah blah. But it's fun, sha.
While some of them see it as breaking the seed of moral discipline already planted in our youth, according to religious perspective, some individuals enjoy watching housemates engaged in sexual activities, while others fantasize about the body features of these housemates.
Big Brother Africa started very well. Everybody knows that it started very well. A lot of kudos came out from that, the Kenyan guy that won and all that. But at this point, it's becoming something that is anti-society. Something that has to do with everything apart from what the society wants. There's a lot of nudity going on. There's a lot of anti-social practices going on. And at the end of the day, you wonder what values are we trying to pass to our children. I'm sure if you take a look at the statistics, you will see that there has been a downward trend in the number of people that watch Big Brother. It's not the same with those that watched it then when it was Big Brother Africa. I think that's a message to people that started this program, that there's something that is not going well about Big Brother Nigeria.
The previous one, the flashy one, the young show I saw on television like that, you know, the kind of dressing, you know, it's not good for our children. That is one of those things I did against, you know. Even though as a Christian or Muslim, there's nowhere in the Bible, in the Quran, that we should just dress indecent.
The need then arises, organizers of the reality show, to bridge the gap between creating economic opportunities for youth in Nigeria and breaking the moral code that frowns at indecent behaviors prevalent in the Big Brother house. Some of them say the recent sex plays going on among the housemates had raised concerns over the future moral status of youth in the country.
Now, DSTV got its license, which is a broadcast license, from NBC and not from NCC. But there's a thin line between broadcasting and telecommunications at this particular point in time, because they use spectrum, and some of these spectrums can be shared. So some people may come to NBC, get a license, but they still come to NCC and get a frequency. A lot of people watch that program, and they make calls, they text on who they prefer and all that, who is their favorite and all that. So at the end of the day, because the distinction between telecommunication and broadcasting is blurred now, you have a situation where both the broadcasting company and both the telecommunications company are benefiting from a show of that kind of program.
While entrepreneurs see the COVID-19 pandemic as an opportunity to build up a near collapse, a possible economic recession, which was predicted by experts, is shifting focus to the informal sector and the creative industry, expected to be the pasture and economic liberation.
I certainly don't want to be locked up for 90 days to make money, but some people will argue that if they don't have anything and then they are locked up somewhere and they are fed for 90 days, and they stand a chance of getting $100,000. Is the kind of money that perhaps some people will have to work for 15 years before they can ever make that kind of money. So to those kind of segment of people, it's a good opportunity. And then some people have stayed there, they have been seen on the television, they become popular people. So once they leave that place, they go back. Some of these advertising companies use them. Some of these movie companies use them. So at the end of the day,
the owners of DSTV, a South African company, also enjoy significant economic and financial growth in the number of new subscribers on the platform. The company also records higher customer subscription rates to their different programming bouquets or plans during the live transmission of the show. They also record more revenue through their different value-added services. In addition to selling more DSTV decoders, the company also records more user viewing time during this period. This in-show placement accompanies regular commercial breaks and increases the value of the advertisement for sponsors.
I'm aware that you cannot broadcast anything that show nudity. I'm aware that you cannot broadcast anything that cast a particular ethnic group in a bad light and all that. So if the regulator, NBC, does not feel that it breaches their code of conduct, then I cannot pass judgment on it, and they should be free to air what they want. But I have so many choices because there are so many, multi-choice has so many choices for me to watch, so that I don't necessarily have to go to that particular one anyway.
The media value of sponsoring BB Niger, according to experts' survey, amount to not less than 10 billion naira. A mixed group of carefully vetted candidates are ushered into a house miles away from home. These strangers are joined by the hip inner building for days after quitting their job to invest in a portion of their lives into a reality TV show. On the surface, they are signing up to have viewers live through them. But the real hope is that via participating in the house, they can mint money through business deals, brand partnership, and even launching their own brands. As the reality show progresses, the Nigerian audience are advised to avail themselves of viewer discretion facilities put in place by the organizers of the Big Brother reality show.
All right, that was an interesting package right there, but I wouldn't know if that will pass for an amazing Africa. But like we were talking about, it still passes, right?
Big Brother Nigeria.
Yeah, amazing
Africa.
Because it's happening in Nigeria. Nigeria is part of Africa. And then you see the intrigues and the drama that's been going on in the house.
And then it's not
amazing.
The watching is not particular to just Nigerians alone. All over Africa, they are also watching as well.
All over the world, if you can actually link up to your TV. So it's amazing.
All right, so that's how much you can take today on the program on Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. My name is Messi Joe.
And my name is Elvis Oga. It's been a beautiful and wonderful outing. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, stay safe.